The steady beeping of the heart monitor filled my recovery room as I watched my parents gather their things. Mom was already checking her makeup in her compact mirror, while Dad impatiently tapped his foot, jangling his car keys. The Nordstrom anniversary sale starts in an hour, Mom said, barely glancing at my post-operative state, and your father needs to pick up his new golf clubs before the pro shop closes. I lay there, still groggy from anesthesia, various tubes and monitors attached to my body after what they'd dismissed as just a minor surgery. 8 years of medical school and 5 years as chief of surgery, yet they still saw me as their perpetually disappointing daughter who worked at a hospital. The nurses can handle anything that comes up, Dad said, straightening his designer tie. That's what we pay them for, right? I managed a weak smile, knowing full well that every nurse on this floor reported directly to me. Right, besides, Mom added, adjusting her Gucci bag, it's not like you're doing anything important here, just sleeping it off. She turned to Dad. Did you see the new Mercedes in the hospital parking lot? We should get one like that. I thought about my identical Mercedes parked in its reserved chief of surgery spot right by the entrance, but kept quiet. Speaking of cars, Dad checked his Rolex. We should get going before traffic picks up around the mall. Sarah, try not to bother the nurses too much. They have real doctors to assist. The irony almost made me laugh, but the surgical incision made that impossible. My sister Victoria breezed in, designer shopping bags already in hand. Oh good, you're still here, she said to our parents. I found this amazing boutique next to the mall. We have to go now while they're still holding that dress for Mom. Vicky, I whispered, my throat still sore from intubation. Weren't you supposed to handle my post-op care coordination? I knew the answer. I'd seen her dump the paperwork on my assistant's desk this morning. She waved her hand dismissively. I told one of the residents to deal with it, or maybe it was a nurse. Whatever, someone in scrubs. You know I can't waste my lunch break on paperwork. What she didn't know was that as chief of surgery, I'd seen her pattern of negligence documented in multiple incident reports. The resident she'd delegated to had immediately reported it to the ethics board, standard protocol for any breach of medical duty. Don't forget your follow-up appointment with Dr. Stevens, Mom called over her shoulder, already heading for the door. He's a real doctor, not just a resident, Dr. Stevens, my former mentor who'd personally recommended me for the chief of surgery position 3 years ago when he retired. The man who'd been begging me to take over his private practice since I was a third-year resident. I won't forget, I said softly. Victoria scrolled through her phone, not even looking up. By the way, I moved your next 2 patients to Dr. Rodriguez. I need you to cover my clinic hours next week when I'm in Aspen. I watched her, wondering if she realized she'd just admitted to patient abandonment in front of multiple witnesses. The recovery room nurses were already making notes, their faces professionally blank. You did what? I asked quietly. Moved your patients. It's no big deal, they're just routine post-ops. Dr. Rodriguez is a real surgeon, he can handle it. She finally looked up, adding with a smirk, you know, the kind that actually operates on people instead of just assisting. The head recovery nurse, Helen, who'd worked with me on countless surgeries, carefully adjusted my IV drip. I caught her subtle head shake. She was already documenting everything. Anyway, Mom said, we really need to go. The sale won't wait, and you know how your father gets about his golf clubs. Right, Dad added. Just rest and try not to cause problems for the real medical staff. They swept out of the room, designer bags swinging, leaving me alone in my recovery bed. I counted silently in my head. 3, 2, 1. My phone lit up with messages. Hospital board president, Dr. Bennett, urgent matter regarding staff privileges. Multiple ethics violations reported. Ethics committee, chief, need your immediate review of incident reports regarding patient abandonment. Dr. Stevens, Sarah, just heard what happened. Board is convening emergency session. I turned to Helen, who was already holding out a tablet with the incident reports pulled up. Dr. Bennett, should I inform Dr. Rodriguez that his privileges are under review? Not yet, I said, my voice growing stronger. Let's wait for the board president's call. I could already picture it. My family, halfway to the mall, their phones suddenly flooding with calls from the hospital board. By the time they realized what was happening, Victoria's medical license would be under review, and our parents would finally understand exactly what their assistant daughter did at the hospital. Helen smiled, knowingly, as my phone began to ring with the board president's call. Would you like me to put it on speaker, Chief? The board president's voice filled my recovery room, crisp and professional, despite his obvious anger. Dr. Bennett, I apologize for disturbing your recovery, but we have a situation requiring immediate attention. Helen efficiently adjusted my bed to a more upright position as I took the call. I'm aware, Dr. Maxwell. I was just reviewing the incident reports. Multiple violations, he continued, patient abandonment, unauthorized transfer of care, breach of duty, and all by a member of your immediate family. He paused. Where is Dr. Victoria Bennett now? Shopping, I replied dryly. The Nordstrom anniversary sale apparently takes precedence over patient care. A sharp intake of breath on the other end. And your parents? Golf clubs and designer handbags were deemed more urgent than their daughter's post-operative care. The silence that followed was heavy with professional indignation. I've called an emergency board meeting. Your sister's privileges are already suspended pending review. My phone buzzed with incoming texts. Victoria, why is my hospital access card denied? Mom, Sarah, why is the board calling us? Dad, the pro shop says my membership is frozen. Dr. Bennett, Helen interrupted softly. Dr. Rodriguez is online too. He's quite upset about being implicated in unauthorized patient transfers. I could imagine. Mark Rodriguez was one of our most ethical surgeons, and he'd been my resident when I was chief resident. The idea that he'd participate in patient abandonment was laughable. Tell Dr. Rodriguez, I'll handle it, I assured Helen. And please flag any patients my sister may have reassigned in the past month. My phone kept buzzing. Victoria, my procedures for tomorrow are cancelled. Fix this. Mom, the mall security just escorted us out. Something about hospital board orders. Dad, why is the chief medical officer calling me? Sarah, Dr. Maxwell's voice softened slightly. I know this is difficult, given it's your family, but as chief of surgery, my position is precisely why this needs to be handled by the book. I interrupted firmly. No special treatment. The door burst open as Victoria stormed in, still clutching shopping bags, but now with a face flushed with anger. What did you do? She demanded. My card access is denied, my procedures are cancelled, and the board is talking about license review. Our parents hurried in behind her, looking disheveled and confused. The mall security escort had apparently rattled them. Dr. Bennett, Helen said pointedly, emphasizing my title. Should I inform these unauthorized visitors that they're breaching recovery room protocols? Victoria scoffed. Please, I'm a doctor here, and she's just my sister. Actually, Dr. Maxwell's voice came clearly through the speaker, making them all jump. You're addressing Dr. Sarah Bennett, chief of surgery and member of the hospital board, and as of 10 minutes ago, your medical privileges have been suspended pending review. The shopping bags dropped from Victoria's hands. Mom sank into a chair, her designer purse sliding to the floor. Dad stood frozen, his golf club receipt still clutched in his hand. But that's impossible, Victoria stammered. Sarah's just an assistant, she helps with paperwork. And Dr. Bennett, Helen interrupted again. The ethics committee has flagged 15 instances of patient abandonment under Dr. Victoria Bennett's name in the past month alone. 15. Dr. Maxwell's voice sharpened. Document everything. Full review. This is ridiculous. Mom found her voice. Sarah, tell them who you really are. I pressed my surgical call button, and within seconds, 3 more nurses appeared. I am telling them, I said quietly. I'm Dr. Sarah Bennett, chief of surgery, the youngest in this hospital's history. I oversee all surgical departments, including the one where Victoria's been neglecting her duties. But, the mall security, Dad sputtered. The hospital board has arrangements with local businesses, I explained, particularly when a doctor under investigation attempts to flee during a review. Victoria's face had gone from red to white. The patients I moved will be properly reassigned, I finished. By me, their actual surgeon, Dr. Bennett, Dr. Maxwell said. The board is ready when you are. My family stood there, stunned, as the full weight of their situation sank in. Their shopping bags and golf clubs seemed suddenly trivial in the sterile hospital environment. You can't do this, Victoria whispered. I'm your sister. Exactly, I replied, my voice steady, despite the post-surgery pain, which is why I've been covering for your mistakes for months. But patient abandonment, unauthorized transfers, that crosses a line, even family can't blur. The board meeting begins in 10 minutes. Helen announced, checking her watch. But your recovery. Mom finally seemed to notice the medical equipment surrounding me. Don't you need rest? I smiled tiredly. You said it yourself, Mom. I'm fine alone. The nurses can watch me. I turned to Helen. Please escort my family to the boardroom and make sure my sister brings her medical license. The boardroom fell silent as I was wheeled in, still in my hospital gown, but maintaining every ounce of my professional authority. Helen had insisted on bringing my IV pole and monitors, protocol for post-operative patients, even if they happened to be chief of surgery. Victoria sat at the far end of the table, her designer outfit suddenly looking out of place among the sea of white coats and professional attire. Our parents were relegated to chairs against the wall, no longer looking quite so eager to get to their shopping and golf. Dr. Bennett, Dr. Maxwell nodded to me. We apologize for requiring your presence during recovery, but given the nature of these violations, I understand, I said, my voice stronger than it had been in my hospital room. Please proceed. The hospital's legal counsel, James Chen, stood and began displaying documentation on the large screen. Over the past month, Dr. Victoria Bennett has abandoned 15 patients, unauthorized 6 surgical transfers, and delegated critical post-operative care to unqualified personnel. Victoria shifted uncomfortably. I didn't abandon anyone. I just redistributed my workload. To the cleaning staff in one instance, James continued dryly. The janitor you handed patient files to last Tuesday was quite confused. Mom stood up suddenly. This is ridiculous. Victoria is a brilliant surgeon. Sarah, tell them. Mrs. Bennett, Dr. Maxwell cut in sharply. Your daughter, Dr. Sarah Bennett, is here as chief of surgery, not as a family member, and she's been covering for Dr. Victoria's negligence for months. The room turned to look at me. I straightened in my wheelchair, ignoring the pull of surgical stitches. The documentation speaks for itself. I've been reassigning competent surgeons to check Dr. Victoria's work, correcting her mistakes, and protecting her patients, all while trying to mentor her toward better practices. But, Victoria's voice cracked, but you never said anything. I sent you 17 official warnings, I replied calmly, all of which you apparently marked as spam, because they came from your little sister's email. James clicked to the next slide, showing Victoria's patient satisfaction scores, the lowest in the hospital. Dr. Victoria Bennett has also received multiple complaints about spending consultation time on personal phone calls and shopping websites. The mall has great online deals, Victoria protested weakly. During a critical care consultation, James raised an eyebrow. The patient coded while you were ordering shoes. Our father stood now, his golf forgotten. Now wait just a minute, Sarah, you can't let them do this to your sister. Dr. Bennett isn't letting us do anything, Dr. Maxwell stated firmly. As chief of surgery, she's required by law to report these violations. The fact that she tried to protect her sister for so long could actually compromise her own position. The color drained from my parents' faces as they finally began to understand the gravity of the situation. The board will now review the evidence, Dr. Maxwell announced. Dr. Victoria Bennett, please surrender your hospital credentials and await our decision. Victoria's hands shook as she placed her ID badge on the table. Sarah, Dr. Bennett, please, I tried to help you, I said softly. All those times I dropped by your procedures, all the casual suggestions about patient care, I was trying to guide you without humiliating you, but you just saw your little sister playing doctor. Mom was crying now, her shopping plans forgotten. We didn't know, we never realized. That's the problem, I replied, my professional calm never wavering. You never bothered to know. Not when I graduated top of my class. Not when I became chief resident. Not when I was appointed chief of surgery. You were all too busy shopping and golfing to attend any of those ceremonies. The board members exchanged knowing looks. They'd all been at those ceremonies, watching me receive my appointments, while my family's seats sat empty. Dr. Bennett, Helen spoke from behind my wheelchair. Your post-operative antibiotics are due. Thank you, Helen. I turned to the board. I trust you can conclude this matter without me. I appear to have some recovery to do. Of course, Chief. Dr. Maxwell nodded. We'll have our decision about Dr. Victoria's license within the hour. As Helen wheeled me out, I heard Victoria burst into tears, and our mother's muffled sobs. Dad called after me. Sarah, wait. I raised my hand, stopping him. That's Dr. Bennett, and I believe you have more important things to attend to than golf clubs now. The door closed behind us, leaving my family to face the consequences of years of dismissal and negligence. In the hallway, Helen smiled slightly as she checked my vitals. Shall I have security escort them out after the board's decision, Dr. Bennett? I considered for a moment. No, let them find their own way out. They're good at leaving on their own after all.